Black Korean heritage. Title: Billionaire reunited with his maid after 9 years. What her son said to him left him speechless. Chapter 1: The Apology. Some men build empires. Others spend a lifetime wondering what they destroyed along the way. A black luxury SUV rolls slowly down a narrow, cracked street lined with small, tired houses. The contrast is immediate and deliberate, gleaming chrome against chipped wooden fences, tinted windows reflecting laundry strung between poles, a manicured hedge reflected in a puddle beside a broken drain. Inside the vehicle, the air is cold, controlled, the kind of silence that only money can manufacture. Marcus Cole, 44, sits in the back seat. He is immaculately dressed charcoal suit, silver cufflinks that catch the pale afternoon light. His shoes cost more than the monthly rent of 3 houses on this street. But there is nothing triumphant about the way he sits. His jaw is set. His hands rest on his knees, not relaxed, positioned, like a man who has rehearsed stillness to hide the fact that he is terrified. He holds a small cream envelope in his right hand. He has been holding it for 40 minutes. The corners are slightly bent now. He hasn't noticed. The car slows to a stop in front of house number 14. It is a modest house, a neat garden, a painted door that was once red and is now a faded terracotta. A wind chime hangs beside the entrance. Someone has planted yellow marigolds along the path. Small things, careful things. The house of a person who makes beauty from what they have. Marcus stares at it. He checks the address on his phone one more time. This is it. Driver. Sir, are you sure you don't want me to come with you? I can wait at the Marcus. Firmly but not unkindly. Stay here, Dennis. Keep the engine off. He steps out of the car. The street sounds filter in: a dog somewhere, children laughing 2 houses down, the distant percussion of someone's radio. The ordinary music of a neighborhood that does not know or care about Marcus Cole. He buttons his jacket, straightens himself, walks to the door alone. He rings the bell, waits. Silence, then footsteps, small ones, quick, light, the footsteps of someone who runs everywhere because walking has not yet occurred to them as an option. The door swings open. A boy stands in the doorway. He is 8, maybe 9 years old, small for his age but solid, sturdy shoulders, a direct gaze, dark eyes that take in everything at once, a sharp jaw, a half-eaten apple in his left hand. His right hand grips the doorframe with the casual ownership of a child who has answered this door 100 times. Marcus opens his mouth to speak. He doesn't, because the boy is looking up at him, with a face that Marcus has only ever seen in one place. In his own mirror. The same angular brow, the same deep-set, dark eyes with that slight heaviness to the upper lid, the same slight cleft at the chin, small, almost imperceptible, but Marcus has traced that same cleft in his own reflection every morning for 44 years. The world goes quiet. The envelope slips from Marcus's fingers. It falls to the step. Neither of them looks at it. Boy, tilting his head with pure, unself-conscious curiosity. Are you okay, mister? You look like you've seen a ghost. Marcus cannot breathe. His hand finds the doorframe. He grips it. Marcus. Barely a whisper. What's your name? The boy stands up straighter. There is pride in it. The pride of a child who has been taught that his name is something worth carrying well. Boy. Clearly, without hesitation. Elijah Osei. A beat, one long world-changing beat. Then a woman's voice from somewhere inside the house, warm, distracted, the voice of someone in the middle of something domestic. Judith O.S. Eli, sweetheart, who's at the door? Marcus looks up. And there she is. Judith OSCI, 38, appears in the hallway behind her son. She is in a simple blue house dress, her hair pulled back, wiping her hands on a dish towel. She is moving quickly, already forming the polite smile she gives to delivery men and neighbors. The moment she sees Marcus, the towel falls from her hands. Her face does not show surprise. It shows something older and heavier than surprise. It shows terror. Chapter 2: The Woman Who Ran. The truth doesn't disappear when you bury it. It grows roots. Judith's living room continuous. The room is small but deeply cared for. This is the first thing Marcus notices, not the size of it but the care. Throw cushions precisely arranged. A bookshelf organized by color along the bottom row and by size along the top. A vase of fresh wildflowers on the windowsill, the kind you pick rather than buy. There are drawings taped to the wall above the small television. A child's art crayon suns with too many rays, blue stick figures mid-jump, a cat that is more oval than cat. One drawing, larger than the others, shows a woman and a boy holding hands beneath a yellow sky. The boy is wearing a cape. There is no man in any of them. Judith has sent Elijah upstairs. They both listen to his footsteps climb, reluctant, slow, the footsteps of a child doing exactly as told while making clear he considers it unjust. A door closed, then quiet. Judith stands across from Marcus now, arms crossed over her chest, jaw tight. There is no hostility in her posture, not exactly, more a kind of bracing, the stance of a woman who has been waiting 9 years for a shoe to drop and can feel it in the air above her. Judith, you shouldn't be here. Marcus. I know, I came anyway. A silence. Marcus can't. I didn't come to cause trouble. I came to apologize for how it ended, for how she ended it, for the years in between that I didn't know I should have been looking for you. Judith. Her voice tight, controlled but trembling underneath. It's been 9 years, Marcus. Marcus. I know, I've been trying to find you for 2 of them. She looks at him sharply. Judith. 2 years. Marcus. After Victoria died, I went through her private files. I found a name, an agency. It took another 8 months to get here. A long silence fills the room. Judith turns away to the window. The marigolds she planted line the path outside. She stares at them. Marcus can't. The boy. Judith. Sharp, immediate. Don't. Marcus. Judith. Judith. I said don't. A beat then. Marcus. Gently. Please. She turns back. Her eyes are glassy now, but her chin is lifted. The posture of a woman who has cried about this enough times in private that she will not do it in front of him. Judith. His name is Elijah. He is 9 years old. He is healthy and he is happy and he is loved. He has never wanted for a single thing that I could give him. He is in the top of his class. He has friends. He plays football on Saturdays. He is fine Marcus. He is more than fine. She says it like a shield. Then quieter. Judith can't. She told me you knew. She told me you had agreed to the arrangement, that you had reviewed it personally, that you wanted no part of us, not the baby, not me, none of it, that it was cleaner this way, for everyone. Marcus stills. Something behind his eyes shifts, the subtle tectonic. Marcus. What arrangement? Judith. Staring at him. The money, 200,000, the NDA, the relocation fund. The letter she had me sign stating I would make no contact, no claim, no Marcus. She showed me a document with your signature on it. Silence. Marcus. Slowly, carefully. I never signed anything. I didn't know about a letter. I didn't know about any settlement. I didn't know you were pregnant. The words land one at a time, each one a small detonation. Judith's face changes. All the armor she has built, the careful composure, the 9 years of managed pain, moves across her face like weather. Judith, barely audible. Then she lied. It is not a question. It is a woman realizing, for the first time, the full shape of the thing that was done to her. From the hallway, silence, then a creak, then a small shadow in the doorway. Elijah stands there, half hidden by the frame, his apple forgotten on the step behind him. He is watching the man in the suit with those dark, impossibly intelligent eyes. He looks at his mother. He looks at Marcus. He has heard more than a child should hear, and understood more than either adult in the room expected. Elijah, quietly, with the directness that only children possess. Mama, is that man my papa? The silence that follows is the loudest thing in the room. Judith closes her eyes. Marcus cannot move. And Elijah waits, the way children wait, completely, without strategy, with the full and patient weight of a question he has been carrying his whole life. Chapter 3. The Letter from the Dead. She could not confront the dead, but she had left him everything he needed to understand. Marcus penthouse study, night. The penthouse is vast and quiet in the way that expensive places are quiet, not peaceful, just empty of anything human. Floor-to-ceiling windows look out over the city at night, thousands of lights below, all of them belonging to other people's lives. Marcus sits at his desk. A glass of whiskey stands beside the lamp untouched. The ice has long since melted. In front of him, spread across the mahogany surface, is a small archaeology of betrayal. Financial records printed on thick paper, a scanned NDA with Judith's signature in blue ink, and a signature beside it that he does not recognize, stamped with a notary seal from a firm he has never heard of. A wire transfer record. A relocation agency invoice. And at the center of it all, a handwritten letter on monogrammed cream stationery. The initials at the top, VAC Victoria and Cole. She died 18 months ago. Ovarian cancer, swift and total. Marcus had held her hand at the end. He had believed in that room that whatever had existed between them in the quieter years of their marriage, the distance, the formal politeness of two people sharing a life without quite sharing it, had not mattered. That it had been ordinary. That marriages simply became that. He reads the letter for the third time. Marcus VO, reading the letter. If you are reading this, then someone has been foolish enough to start asking questions, or I have failed to properly close this chapter. I will not apologize for what I did. The girl was a liability. Her child was a liability. You were a liability, Marcus, you simply didn't know it yet. I did what any wife with sense would do. I protected the name. I protected the company. I protected myself. The child is not your concern. It never was. The matter is settled, and it should remain settled. If it has not, if you have found this letter and found her, then I ask you to do the one thing you have always been capable of. Be sensible. Let it stay buried. The dead cannot argue. Neither should you. V. Marcus sets the letter down. His jaw is tight. His eyes are dry in the way that eyes get when a man has moved past the possibility of tears and arrived somewhere colder and more deliberate. He is not grieving his wife right now. He is doing something far more complicated. He is rereading 11 years of marriage through a new lens, and the image that forms is not one he recognizes. He thinks about a woman in a small house with marigolds by the path. He thinks about a boy who held an apple and asked if he'd seen a ghost. He picks up his phone, dials. Marcus. Clara, I need you in my office at 7 tomorrow morning. Clear whatever you have. He listens. Marcus can't. No, it cannot wait. And bring everything you have on the estate documents going back 5 years before Victoria died. Any external legal work commissioned in her name. Any corporate accounts she had signing authority on that weren't disclosed in the estate review. A pause. Marcus can't. Quieter. And Clara, this stays between us, not the firm, just you. He hangs up. He looks at the letter one more time. Then he looks at the framed photograph on the corner of his desk, he and Victoria at the company's 10th anniversary gala. She is in a red dress. Her arm is through his. They are both looking at the camera, both smiling with the precise, practiced warmth of people who know exactly how they are supposed to look. He picks it up, studies it for a long moment. Then he places it face down on the desk. He reaches for the whiskey. He puts it back. He has work to do. Chapter 4: The Brothers' Game. Power doesn't corrupt. It simply reveals who was always there. INT. Cole Industries Boardroom Day. Marble floors that reflect the light. Floor-to-ceiling glass on 3 sides, the city skyline arranged behind it like a backdrop chosen for maximum intimidation. The table is long, obsidian, polished to a mirror finish. Around it, usually, sit 14 board members. Today it holds only 2. At the far end sits Richard Cole, 52, Marcus's older brother by 8 years. Silver-haired, broad-shouldered, wearing a suit that costs the kind of money that is never discussed. He is the kind of man who was built for boardrooms. Every angle of him speaks authority, and he has spent 5 decades refining the particular art of making other people feel like they are visiting his world. He is already sitting when Marcus enters. He already knows why Marcus is here. Richard, leaning back in his chair, relaxed, one hand on the table. I wondered when you'd come. Honestly, Marcus, I expected you sooner. You always were more sentimental than the situation required. Marcus says nothing. He closes the boardroom door. He does not sit. Marcus. You knew. Richard. A brief pause then. Victoria came to me first. She was distressed, frightened really. She needed someone with a steadier head. Marcus. She paid off the mother of my child. She forged my signature on legal documents. She had a woman disappear with $200,000 and an NDA and a lie about my consent. And she came to you first. Richard. Without flinching. She came to me because she knew I would understand the stakes. Cole Industries was 6 weeks from closing a $2 billion merger, Marcus. Do you have any idea what a paternity scandal with a household employee would have done to that deal, to the share price, to the perception of this family's leadership? Marcus. Quietly, but with the kind of stillness that precedes storms. A child, Richard. A child is what we're talking about. Richard. His voice cooling. We're talking about a liability that was managed, cleanly. No one was hurt. Marcus. Standing now, both hands on the table. Don't you dare say no one was hurt. A woman raised a child alone for 9 years believing that I had chosen not to know my own son. My son grew up without a father because his father was lied to. Because I was lied to. By my wife. With your help. Richard's jaw tightens. Richard. Sit down, Marcus. You're being emotional. Marcus. I am being exact. A long silence. Richard studies his brother with the calculating patience of a man who has navigated difficult conversations for half a century. Richard. Shifting tactics, leaning forward. All right, let's speak plainly. What is it you're planning to do? Marcus. Acknowledge him. Legally. Publicly. File for paternity. Have the NDA voided on the grounds of fraudulent misrepresentation. And give that boy and his mother every resource they should have had from the beginning. Richard. Dangerous quiet. If you do that, I will contest Victoria's estate. I will argue she was of compromised mental state in her final years, and given what you're claiming she did, that argument becomes very interesting to make publicly. I will tie those assets in court for years, and I will ensure that when this story runs, and it will run, the headline is not "Billionaire Claims Love Child." The headline will be "Cole's CEO Destabilizes Company with Decade-Old Affair Scandal." Every shareholder, every partner, every institution that has ever extended this company credit. He lets it hang. Richard Conde. Is that the legacy you want? Is that what you're choosing? Marcus straightens. He buttons his jacket. He looks at his brother, really looks at him. With the focused, uncluttered gaze of a man who has made a decision he does not need to revisit. Marcus. I've watched you use that word, legacy, like a weapon my entire career, as if it's something you build by protecting what looks good instead of doing what's right. Here's what I've learned, Richard. Legacy isn't what the papers write. It isn't the share price the quarter you die. Legacy is what a child carries about who you were, and my son has carried the wrong story about me for 9 years. I am going to spend the rest of my life making sure he knows the true one. He picks up his file from the table. Marcus Kant. I built half of what you're sitting in right now. Don't threaten me with my own empire. He walks to the door. He pauses, his hand on the frame. Marcus Kant. And Richard, clear your schedule. Clara will be in touch. He leaves. The door closes quietly. That is the most frightening part. Richard sits very still for a long moment. Then he picks up his phone. Richard. Controlled clipped. Get me Hargreaves. Tell him we have a problem. And tell him I need it solved before Friday. He sets the phone down. For just a moment, one unguarded, unwitnessed moment, something crosses his face that might be doubt. Then it is gone. Chapter 5. The Weight of a Name. A father is not made in a moment, but a moment can be where it begins. EXT, Riverside Park, afternoon. It is one of those afternoons that autumn arranges like an apology for what is coming. Golden light, soft air. The leaves on the turning trees holding their color for one more day. The park is full of the comfortable noise of Saturday. Joggers, dog walkers, children feeding ducks with focused generosity. Marcus sits on a wooden bench near a stone fountain. He is not in a suit today. Dark jeans, a simple navy shirt. He looks almost like a person. Beside him, Elijah is managing an ice cream cone with the concentrated seriousness of a boy who understands that the window between perfect and structural collapse is narrow and demands full attention. The cone is mango, 2 generous scoops. He has already negotiated a third for later. Judith sits on a separate bench a few feet away, close enough to intervene, far enough to give them something that might become a conversation. She has a coffee she is not drinking. She is watching the ducks and pretending not to listen. This is the first time Marcus and Elijah have spent real time together. The first time Marcus has been near enough to watch his son think, to watch him tilt his head when he considers something, to notice that he hums under his breath when he is content. It is awkward in the way that beautiful things are always awkward at the beginning. Elijah, not looking up from the cone. My teacher says I'm good at maths. Marcus. Carefully, genuinely. Yeah. Elijah. I came first in the class last term. Mama cried. Marcus glances over at Judith. She is very focused on a swan. Marcus. That sounds about right. Elijah. She says she was crying because she was proud. But she also cried when I brought home a drawing of our cat, and the cat died 4 years ago so. Marcus bites the inside of his cheek. Marcus. What was the cat's name? Elijah. Captain, he only had 3 legs. Mama said he was resilient. A pause. Elijah Kant. Casual licking the cone. Do you have other kids? A beat. Marcus. No, just you. Elijah considers this. Elijah. Matter of fact. That's a bit sad, isn't it? Every kid should have a dad. My friend Thomas has 2 dads. He says it's double the trouble but also double the birthday presents, so on balance it's fine. Marcus laughs. It happens before he can stop it, a real laugh, unguarded and sudden, the laugh of a man who did not know he still had one available. Judith looks over from her bench, startled by the sound. She looks at her son, then at Marcus, then away. Elijah Kant, quieter now, studying the cone. Mama told me you didn't know about me, that you didn't choose not to come. He doesn't look up, but he is listening with his whole body. Marcus. That's the truth I didn't know, and I'm. He stops. He thinks about the word sorry, about how many times it has been used to close a conversation rather than begin one. He decides to do something harder. Marcus Kant. I'm not going to tell you sorry is enough, because it isn't. Not for every birthday I missed, not for every football match, every first day of school, every time you maybe wondered why your house only had a drawing of you and your mum on the wall. Sorry doesn't cover all of that, but I want you to know that the moment I found out, I came, and I'm not going anywhere. Elijah is quiet for a long moment. Then he holds out the cone. Elijah, you want some? It's mango. Marcus takes it, takes a bite, hands it back. Marcus. Softly to himself. Mango, of course it is. Elijah, looking at him now, very directly. My birthday's in March. You can come if you want. Mama always makes jollof rice and there's usually cake, but last year the candles fell and she had to sing twice. Marcus nods. Marcus. I wouldn't miss it. Elijah studies him for one more moment with those sharp, evaluating eyes. Then he goes back to the cone, satisfied, having filed Marcus under a category that will be reviewed and updated over time. On the other bench, Judith is no longer looking at the ducks. She is looking at her son. Her eyes are bright. The afternoon holds them all in its gold for a little while longer. Chapter 6. The storm breaks. You can only protect a truth for so long before it starts to protect itself. INT, City Courthouse Lobby Day. The media found them 3 days ago. Someone from Richard's camp, most likely, a carefully placed tip to 2 journalists, and now there are 18 of them outside. Cameras on the steps. Satellite vans along the curb. A correspondent doing a live piece to camera that uses the phrase "billionaire love child" 4 times in 90 seconds. Inside the lobby, the noise is muffled but present, a constant low pressure against the glass. Clara MENSAH 40 walks directly beside Marcus. She is composed in the way that only people who genuinely enjoy pressure can be composed, not calm exactly, but energized by the challenge. Navy suit, no jewelry, a leather file under her arm that contains everything. She speaks low and fast without looking at him. Clara. Richard's team filed an injunction this morning at 8:15. They're claiming Judith's voluntary signature on the NDA constitutes a binding waiver of all future paternity claims, regardless of the circumstances of signing. Marcus. Can they make that stick? Clara. Not a chance. An NDA obtained through fraudulent inducement, specifically, a material misrepresentation about whether the other party consented, is void from the beginning. That's settled law. The question is speed. Richard wants delay. He wants this to be slow and expensive and visible enough that you reconsider. Marcus. He's known me 44 years, and he still thinks I reconsider. Clara. Dry. Noted. We have 3 members of Victoria's household staff willing to testify under oath that they were aware of the letter and the payment arrangement. We have the original wire transfer records from a shell account, Cole Family Holdings Subsidiary C, that Richard co-signed the incorporation documents for. We have the forged signature on the NDA analyzed by a forensic document examiner who will say unequivocally it is not yours. Marcus. And the DNA. Clara. Submitted to the court, sealed this morning. We should have the judge's confirmation within the hour. Behind them, a commotion. Voices rising. The double doors from the car park push open and Richard Cole enters, flanked by two lawyers and a publicist. He moves through the lobby like a man who built it. He reaches Marcus in 10 strides. "Richard." Low, fierce. "You are making a mistake that cannot be undone. Every journalist in this building is going to run this story. Do you understand what billionaire's love child with the maid does to the board's confidence? Do you understand?" Marcus. Turning to face him, unhurried. "Do you want to know what I've realized, Richard?" Richard stops. Marcus can't. "I've spent 20 years watching you tell me what I stand to lose. My reputation, my seat on the board, my standing, my image. And I spent 20 years treating those things as if they were the point. As if protecting the perception of Marcus Cole was the same as actually being Marcus Cole." He takes one step closer. Marcus can't. "There is a 9-year-old boy who has his grandmother's hands and my chin and the highest math score in his class, and he has never had a father because my wife lied and you helped her. That is what I stand to lose. Everything else is just furniture." Richard's composure holds, but only just. "Richard." His voice cracking very slightly for the very first time. "The board will vote you out. They'll say you're unstable, emotional, compromised." Marcus. Quietly, almost gently. "Then they'll vote me out, and I'll still have my son." He turns and walks toward the courtroom doors. Clara falls into step beside him. Clara. Under her breath. "There it is." Marcus. Under his breath. "Was there ever any doubt?" Clara. Not quite smiling. "Not really, but it's nice to hear it out loud." The doors close behind them. Richard stands in the lobby. The publicist starts to say something. He raises one hand and she stops. He stands there alone for a long moment. He looks like a man, beginning to understand that he miscalculated. Chapter 7: The Verdict. Justice is not always dramatic. Sometimes it simply arrives, and the silence that follows is the most complete sound in the world. NT Courtroom 4B Day. The room is full, and it is hushed with the particular silence of people who are holding themselves very still. Every seat in the public gallery is occupied. Judith's sister sits in the second row, holding Judith's hand. Clara's junior colleagues occupy the row behind the plaintiff's table. 3 journalists with notepad permissions sit at the back, pens ready. Judith sits behind the plaintiff's table. Her hands are folded in front of her. Her back is precisely straight, not rigid, but composed with the totality of a woman who decided this morning that whatever happens, she will not fold in public. She is wearing a deep green dress she bought for her mother's church anniversary and has never worn again until today. At the table beside Clara sits Marcus. He has not looked at Richard once. Richard Cole sits at the respondent's table with his legal team, 3 lawyers, a QC they flew in from London, all of it arranged like armor. The judge, a composed woman in her early 60s with silver-framed glasses and the demeanor of someone who has seen every variety of human folly and retained her respect for the process nonetheless, enters from the side door. The room rises. The room sits. She opens the sealed documentation before her. She reviews it for 30 seconds that feel like 30 minutes. She adjusts her glasses. "Judge, in the matter of Cole versus Cole, petition for legal determination of paternity and application for nullification of the 2016 settlement agreement between Victoria Cole, acting under purported authority of Marcus Cole, and Judith Osai." She pauses. The room does not breathe. "Judge Conte, the court has reviewed the submitted DNA analysis, the original financial transfer records, the forensic document examination report, the sworn testimonies of 4 witnesses, and the letter submitted as Exhibit F. A letter in the handwriting of the late Victoria Ann Cole, authenticated by 3 independent analysts. Another pause. Judge Conte. The DNA analysis confirms, with a probability of 99.98%, that the petitioner Marcus Cole is the biological father of Elijah Osei, aged 9 years. The sound that moves through the courtroom is not quite a gasp. It is something deeper, the sound of something enormous, long-held, finally releasing. Judge Conte. Furthermore, the court finds that the 2016 settlement agreement was procured through deliberate misrepresentation of material fact. Specifically, the false assertion that the primary signatory, Marcus Cole, had authorized and personally reviewed the terms of said agreement. Given this fundamental fraud, the agreement is declared null and void in its entirety. The petition for legal paternity recognition is hereby granted. Judith presses both hands over her mouth. She makes no sound. She simply sits there with her hands over her mouth and her eyes closed, and 9 years of something very heavy lifting, incrementally, from her chest. Clara sets down her pen with great care. Across the room, Richard Cole stands. He does not speak. He straightens his jacket. He walks to the door. His lawyers gather their files and follow. The cameras outside will capture everything, his face as he exits, the set of his jaw, the deliberate absence of anything that could be read as defeat, which is, of course, itself a kind of defeat. Marcus sits perfectly still. 3 seconds. 5. Then he closes his eyes. When he opens them, he turns to Judith. Marcus. I want to do this right. Whatever pace he needs, whatever pace you need. I'm not here to disrupt what you've built. I'm not here to take anything from you. I just want to be in his life. I want to be his father, properly, consistently, in whatever way that looks like for him. Judith looks at him for a long moment. There is a great deal in her expression, the complicated arithmetic of 9 years of grief, anger, survival, and love that has never gone entirely one direction. She speaks carefully. Judith, he put you in a drawing. Last week, before any of this went public, he didn't tell me what he was doing, just sat at the kitchen table for 45 minutes with his pencils. When he was done, I looked at it. A man standing next to us on a path, tall, wearing a suit. She pauses. Judith Conte. I asked him who it was. He looked at me like it was obvious. She stops. Judith Conte. He said, "That's my dad, Mama. I just haven't met him properly yet." Marcus bows his head. He stays there for a moment. Then he straightens and nods once. Marcus. Quietly. I won't waste what's left. Chapter 8. What he said. The most important things are rarely said in boardrooms. Marcus estate, late afternoon. The estate is approached through iron gates set into a stone wall draped in old ivy. A long gravel drive leads to a house that is substantial without being ostentatious, Georgian stone, wide windows, wisteria along the east wall. The grounds stretch behind it. A rolling lawn, a fountain, a garden that someone has kept with obvious attention, old roses and late lavender, and a copper beech that has stood there for longer than Marcus has been alive. Elijah sits in the back of Judith's car on the approach. His face is at the window. His mouth is open. Judith watches him in the rearview mirror and says nothing. They pull around to the front. Marcus is already outside, waiting. No jacket today. Just a shirt, sleeves rolled as if he has been working, or as if he prepared carefully to look like a man who has been working. Elijah gets out of the car. He stands on the gravel and looks. And looks. Marcus watches him look. Elijah. Finally, with great sincerity. It's really big. Marcus. It is. Elijah. Turning slowly in a full circle. How many rooms? Marcus. 14. though 3 of them need redecorating, and I've been ignoring that for 2 years. Elijah. Practical. That seems like a lot of ignoring. Marcus. Smiling. I've been busy. Judith smiles at no one in particular and follows them inside. Marcus Estate Terrace later. They stand on the wide stone terrace that looks out over the back lawn. The afternoon is falling toward evening, that particular golden hour when the light goes horizontal and everything it touches looks like it was painted that way. Judith has gone inside with a cup of tea. Marcus and Elijah stand at the low stone balustrade looking out. Neither speaks for a moment. The fountain runs below them. Somewhere in the old copper beach, a bird is making its evening inventory. Elijah. Do you ever get lost in the house? Marcus. Used to in the beginning, less now. Elijah. Nodding, as if this is important data. Mama says I have a good sense of direction. I always find the way home. A small pause. Marcus looks at his son. Marcus. Quietly. So do I, apparently. It just took me longer than it should have. Elijah processes this. He is good at processing things, you can see it, the gears behind the eyes, quiet and methodical. Elijah. Mama says I can visit, weekends sometimes if I want. Marcus. Only ever if you want, Eli. It's not an obligation, it's an invitation. You can come as much or as little as feels right, and we'll work it out as we go. Elijah turns to look at him. Elijah. Can I have a room, like my room? That's mine even when I'm not here. Marcus is quiet for exactly 1 beat. Marcus. I had one set up 3 days ago. Blue walls. You said in the park that blue was your favorite. Elijah stares at him. Elijah. Quietly, very quietly. You remembered that. Marcus. You mentioned it once in passing. I don't think you thought I was listening. A beat. Marcus can't. I don't forget things about you, Eli. The boy looks at him for a long time. Then, without announcement, without any drama at all, in the simple, complete way that children do things when they have decided, he reaches out and slips his small hand into Marcus's. Marcus looks down at it. His throat tightens. He does not speak. He simply wraps his hand around his son's, gently, the way you hold something you are terrified of dropping. They stand there for a moment in the evening light. Elijah. Looking out at the garden. I told my teacher I was coming here today. She asked who you were. A long beat. Marcus. What did you say? Elijah turns to look up at him, and there it is, that face, so impossibly like his own, open in a way that only children can be open because they have not yet learned the cost of being seen, unguarded, unashamed, completely, devastatingly sure. Elijah. I said he's my dad. He just found me a little late. Marcus does not speak. He cannot. He looks straight ahead at the lawn and the fountain and the old copper beach and the evening sky behind it all, and his jaw is set and his eyes are bright, and he does not trust himself to say a single word. He squeezes his son's hand, once, gently. Elijah, satisfied, matter of fact, already interested in the next thing the way children always are, points at the lawn. Elijah can't. Can I run down there? Marcus. Barely holding it together. Yeah, go ahead. Elijah lets go of his hand and takes off across the terrace steps and down onto the grass, arms spread wide, running the way children run when the world is enormous and new and entirely, gloriously theirs. Marcus watches him go. The evening light catches the boy, his dark hair, his arms outstretched, the pure, uncomplicated joy of movement and space. Marcus stands very still at the balustrade. For the first time in 9 years, longer. Maybe he does not look like a man who has everything. He looks like a man who has finally, against considerable odds, found the one thing that was worth everything. Behind him, Judith appears in the doorway with her cup of tea. She looks at Marcus. She looks at her son running in the grass. She looks at the way Marcus is watching Elijah, the absolute quality of his attention, the way he has stopped moving entirely, the way he is simply present in a way she suspects he has not been in years. She says nothing. She doesn't need to. Fade to black. Narrator VO. Some men build empires, but it takes only one child's hand in yours to understand what was worth building all along. Marcus Cole had spent his life measuring success in the only currencies he'd been taught to count. He learned, at 44, in a park with a mango ice cream cone, that the most important ledger had always been kept somewhere else entirely. End card. Elijah was enrolled in a new school that autumn, the same one Marcus had attended as a boy 40 years before. On his first day, he carried a backpack his father had packed the night before. Inside were his pencils, a new notebook, a chocolate bar for emergencies, and a folded note in Marcus's handwriting. Room 14 is yours now. The house knows your name. Come home whenever you're ready. Dad. Please subscribe, like, share. Turn on notifications so you never miss a story. The end. Next.